Hello everyone, I'm Harriet Jameson and I'm talking with Anthony Vicinelli, Federal Technology Director at Enlight. Since 1998, the number of federal data centres has skyrocketed from roughly 400 to over 10,000. With this explosive growth come new mandates, new requirements, new challenges and new opportunities. Today we'll be talking about how you can make the best decisions around the data centre optimisation initiative that emerged to manage this explosive growth, and how you can make sure you're choosing the right data centre infrastructure management software to help you meet its requirements. Anthony, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for lending us your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So let's start by setting the scene and taking a closer look at the current state of the DCOI. What did government data centres used to look like before the initiative was introduced in 2010?
Yeah, there was not a whole lot of best practice to go by. I think that a lot of people used power usage effectiveness, PUE, as the main measurement of how am I doing. And so the government came through and said, well, let's look at a number of things. Let's look at how many data centers that we have. What is the growth rate of those data centers? So as you mentioned before, that went from in the hundreds, maybe a couple hundred, to 10,000 separate data centers, all little closets, all little edge sites everywhere with no real coordination over how are we using these, how can we best use these. So in kind of the first step, the prioritization of how do we start to manage these, we went into a consolidation, right? How do we bring these all together into spaces that were meant to be data centers as opposed to closets and offices that were retrofitted for and made into data centers. Let's look at consolidating, migrating, and closing data centers and bringing them all into something that is a little bit more manageable.
So what were the goals of the initiative?
So the Data Center Optimization Initiative has gone through several phases, right? So in an initial phase, there were a set of metrics that were to be met. And as it got rolled out into the industry, into the space, a lot of feedback came back about how to make that better. Right now, the four metrics that they call out are virtualization, advanced metering, server utilization, and uptime or availability. Places where we can continue to do that, we should. And then where we can no longer close, no longer migrate, no longer consolidate, let's optimize what we have in place. That's the basis of the initiative.
Great. So how successful would you say the DCOI has been at achieving these goals?
Yeah, I think you have varying levels of success, right, across the industry. You have folks that are having a hard time, getting off the ground of sort of, what direction that we go. That was in the initial stages. Now you're seeing a wider adoption of it, and you have teams and programs that are available inside of every agency that are tasked with, implementing this initiative. And so the challenges that still exist for customers trying to meet these initiatives are sometimes they don't have the right tools in place. Sometimes they don't have the right metering or sensors in place. And so those are the challenges that we like to try to help customers with, trying to understand, how to get there. What are the best practices and what are the best methodologies to try to adopt the initiatives set forth in the DCOI.
So phase 2 has been updated and extended to include some new metrics, and we touched on them briefly earlier, but can we do a deeper dive into what these are and why these are so significant? Yeah,
sure. So whenever we look at virtualization, this is a great way for us to look at our physical boxes that we have, physical servers, physical IT assets, and how can we virtualize those, and then therefore just get greater efficiency out of the hardware that's currently on site. Also with that virtualization, then you have a wider set of options to then move those assets to the cloud. So that is another piece to this larger approach by OMB that says to approach this in a cloud smart, with a cloud smart philosophy to say, where best should we run our IT workloads? In that, right, as far as in the virtualization piece, we want to make sure that the servers that we do have are being managed properly, so that we don't have underutilized servers, or what people will call zombie servers, that are just sort of sitting there unmanaged, consuming power, generating heat, creating a situation that is just inefficient. how do we locate these and get them out of the data center? And then, of course, being able to monitor in general. You've got a lot of things that were retrofitted that were never meant to be data centers. Let's consolidate into true modern data centers where there's just a rich set of sensors where we can measure all different types of telemetry, power, temperature, humidity, air pressure, airflow, all of those things, right, that are available in the data center. We want to be able to try to measure and then also then ask questions of. And then all of those things lead to availability. So being able to measure a degree of uptime or downtime, right, as far as that's concerned. So if we do these things, right, we should have a greater degree of uptime or a shorter bounce back from whenever we do have a level of downtime.
So the DCOI is just one part of the Modernizing Government Technology Act. What else is included in this act, and why is it so important that the act is tackled as a unified initiative?
Yeah, so they all are kind of three legs on the same stool. You have DCOI first, right? You have Cloud Smart as an initiative to determine where to run things in the cloud, where to run things on-prem, and how to choose those things, right? That would be another one. And then application rationalization would be the third. And then all of those things lead to availability. So being able to measure a degree of uptime or downtime, right, as far as that's concerned. So if we do these things, right, we should have a greater degree of uptime or a shorter bounce back from whenever we do have a level of downtime. So you can see they kind of dovetail at different points where if I have an optimized data center that is highly available, then I might be able to keep some of my riskier, more critical assets closer to me as opposed to putting them in a colo or offsite somewhere that I might not be able to get to them, or I don't have the right service level agreement that suits my needs, especially for government agencies. They have other things than just cost that fit into that equation. They have security and privacy and politics that play into where they should maybe place those assets.